I'm not denying that certain people are bigoted against Muslims as people. And that's a problem.
Big of you.
But
why are you so hostile about this concept?
It's gross. It's racist.
It's not. But it's so not.
It's like saying those stateless, shifty Jew.
You're not listening to what we are saying.
So that got the ball rolling, and there was a lot more in that, too. Ben Affleck on a panel with Bill Maher arguing over public criticism of radical Islam. Bill O'Reilly took on that last night as well.
Militant Islam continues to drive worldwide terrorism and have plenty of sanctuaries from which to commit their evil. Ben Affleck should well understand that he himself would be beheaded in a heartbeat by these ISIS animals, and that even though they are the most extreme element of the jihad, they're not that far away from their fanatical cousins.
Well, this continues to get a lot of attention. I want to debate it now with David Webb, a radio talk show host on SiriusXM Patriot, columnist for The Hill, and Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio talk show host, both are Fox News contributors. And good day to both of you.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Bill.
I found some information that Pew did in 2013. Let me get to that in a moment. First of all, Leslie, where are you in that Bill Maher, Ben Affleck back and forth?
I guess you could say that I'm Team Ben, and not just because I'm from Boston and he's a homeboy from Boston. I find historically, when we use a paintbrush and make a sweeping generalization against a religion, as opposed to a perversion of a religion in a very small segment of a religion, that historically we've seen that can be extremely dangerous. I find it to be prejudicial. I find it to be discriminatory. We don't want to play into ISIS' hands.
Maher's big
they
point
want
was
us
that,
to hate their religion because
right.
then the Arab world will hate us for it.
Let me get to the Pew results in a moment here, but I just want to be clear about this. Maher's big point is that he believes liberals stand up for everyone and everything, and they should stand up against what he believes is an amount of faith that has not risen to the level of acceptance in the year 2014. That was his overarching point. All right, let me come back to that in a moment, okay? David, I guess you're on Team Bill Maher then? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, when did you ever think that Bill Maher, and I would agree, it's because he's looking at it for what it is. And Ben Affleck, by the way, doesn't even get the issue because he tries to ascribe racism to a problem with not a small percentage of Muslims, if you want to look at it that way, but a large amount of people, if you're to accept the liberal argument that only 10% of Muslims are radicalized. There's 1.6 billion in the world. Ben Affleck lives in this unicorn-like world where suddenly what he believes to be true is, and let's face it, here in America we have unalienable rights. In the Muslim world, you cannot criticize Islam, you cannot picture the prophet, you cannot do something that they consider against the tenets without some radical either issuing a fatwa or somebody wanting to kill you. They're an intolerable religion when it comes to that at many levels, and we have to be honest about it. It's not about everyone there, but it's about the tenets that literally take us there.
Sensitivity that Leslie and like Affleck were making is that you can't put all 1.5 billion in that same category. This is what Pew found in 2013. 38,000 Muslims polled, 39 different countries. Reading this from the Washington Post today. Death by stoning is supported by strong majorities of Muslim respondents in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in the Palestinian territories. Smaller majorities, but still a majority, Leslie, support the practice in Egypt, Iraq, and Malaysia. And honor killings had similar results. Now, what explains that?
Well, first of all, because I have lived in Pakistan, I've lived in Muslim countries, I have seen it from a different perspective. Don't get me wrong. I find these things to be barbaric. I find these things to be horrific. Having said that, Bill, one of the things that we as Americans do is we look at the entire world through the lens of American eyes. Most of these countries, the people are extremely poor. They're extremely backward. They don't have cell phones, and they don't have computers, and they don't watch people like us on television. They consider this to be acceptable because this is a norm for them. This is what they have been brought up with. And they're very simple. They're very simple people, and they're very passive.
I've been there as well. And listen. You just call this horrific, and that's what Maher's saying. that more people should call them horrific and speak out against them. And David, I'll give you your shot.
You know,
what we're
Bill,
hang on, Leslie, 1 second. David.
Okay, first of all, to what Leslie just said, when the Christian Reformation happened, when Christianity marched forward into the modern age, they didn't have cell phones. There were poor people. They lived mostly in an agrarian society, and they didn't have this belief. The problem is with, as you can in Islam, ascribe to whatever version of Mohammedism you can. And these people that ascribe to this, and their governments and their leaders that either fear the blowback or ascribe to it and support it, as the House of Thani, as the Wahhabist movement, which was the Bedouins, which became Saudi Arabia, the House of Saud, and all these groups do, is they will not speak out, they will not fight against it, and in doing so, they're also supporting it.
Okay. Now, listen, I mean, Bill Maher also made fun of the Tea Party in that same debate, and there's not a whole lot of people standing up for that. Listen, Leslie, in Iran today, you have a woman who went to a men's volleyball game. She's been in jail for 100 days. She just started her own hunger strike.
First of all, this is another way we look at the world through an American lens. Iran completely practices a perversion of Islam. I've read the Quran cover to cover. Secondly, in addition to that, we can't equate Iran with Afghanistan, with Iraq. They're very different countries, although, yes, they all come under the guise of an umbrella of Islam. Just like in Christianity, you have Baptist and Methodist and Lutherans and Pentecostals. There are differences among these countries and practices.
Women?
And sexism, which is horrific as a woman, is very alive and well in America. Not on the level of
listen,
Iran.
to both of you, to be continued.
This is a problem worldwide.
This thing is a
Leslie,
fact.
you couldn't
hang
go
on,
on TV
David.
in Iran like
Bill
that.
Maher and Ben Affleck would not be able to have this debate.
No, they would
in
not.
a lot of
and
places.
That's true.
Bill, let me
That's
give a
true.
little
That's why I
advice
love
to
my
women.
country.
To women in Muslim countries like this woman who had a dual citizenship, which Iran doesn't recognize, if you get out of a Muslim country into the modern world anywhere, stay there. You might lose your friends, your family.
Hey, the
but
United
at least
Arab Emirates had a
and
female
Leslie,
fighter
you
pilot,
could not
David.
be on TV in Iran like that.
Right. We do
showing your shoulders,
I
they
know.
stole you.
no
I don't
good
live
for
there.
the audience when we're all talking over each other, but I appreciate the vigor. Leslie, thanks.
Good to see you,
thanks to
Bill.
you. All right.